This week, we are going to be reading Goldilocks and the Three Bears. So here's our picture, and you see the three bears, and there's Goldilocks sleeping. Here is another picture of the three bears. And look at Mama Bear. What does she have on her head? And here is a picture of Goldilocks. So here's Goldilocks. Once upon a time, there lived a little girl named Goldilocks who was very, very good, except that sometimes she forgot to do things that her mother told her to do. Yes, she did. Fortunately, most of the things she forgot to do were small things, like forgetting to tie her shoe or forgetting to wipe her mouth after eating bread and jam. So it didn't matter too much. But once in a while, Goldilocks would forget not to do things that her mother told her not to do, and that kind of forgetting would lead to much more serious trouble. Oh boy. What kind of trouble is she going to get into? Let's see. Very like the trouble that happened on the day of this story, it all began one sunny morning when Goldilocks asked if she could go out in the meadow to pick flowers. "You may go," said her mother, "but make sure not to go in the woods. I've heard that a family of bears lives there." "Yes, ma'am," said Goldilocks, and she picked up her flower basket and left out the door. But very soon she saw a butterfly, and she began to chase it. And as luck would have it, that butterfly led her to the very edge of the woods. And then, just then, Goldilocks saw a pretty yellow bird. And wanting to see more pretty birds, she forgot not to do what her mother told her not to do, and she followed a path up the woods, looking for pretty birds. Do you see the butterfly? That's the butterfly that she was chasing. Do you ever chase butterflies? Very soon, Goldilocks came to a curious little house there in the woods. And, oh, she thought, it was so pretty that straight away she peeked in through the kitchen door. In the meantime, the family of bears who lived there had just left out the front door for a walk, while their bowls of breakfast porridge cooled off on their kitchen table. "Hello," called Goldilocks. "Anybody home?" Well, there was nobody home, of course, and Goldilocks should have turned around and gone back to the meadow. But oh, it was ever so pretty and curious inside there that even though her mother told her not to go in people's houses without being invited, she forgot not to, and she went in anyway. Straight away, she saw those porridge bowls in the kitchen table, and yes, that porridge smelled so delicious that I'm afraid she forgot her mother told her not to touch other people's food, and she decided that she had to have a taste. And she did. First, she took a taste from the great huge Papa Bear bowl, but oh my, no, that porridge was much too hot. So then, she took a taste from the middle-sized Mama Bear bowl, but that porridge was too cold. And so then, she took a taste from the wee small Baby Bear bowl, and she found it neither too hot nor too cold, but just right, and so delicious. Without meaning to, she ate it all up. Then she went into the parlor, and there she saw three curious chairs. Goldilocks thought they were the most curious chairs that she had ever seen. In fact, they seemed so curious that even though her mother told her not to use people's things without permission, she forgot not to, and she climbed up and sat down in the great huge Papa Bear chair. Look at that Papa Bear chair. That's a big chair. But only after a moment or two she found that this great huge chair was much too hard for her. So she climbed down and she sat in the medium-sized Mama Bear chair. But this chair was too soft for her. You see, she sunk way down in the chair, look, because it was too soft. So next, she sat in the wee, small baby bear chair, and this chair she found neither too hard nor too soft, but just right. But when she leaned back to make herself more comfortable, it broke and dropped her to the floor with a crash. Oh, she broke his chair. Well, you might think that being dropped on the floor like that would have put a stop to her being so curious, but no, it didn't, sadly, no. For just then, Goldilocks saw the curious little stairs, and she was so intrigued that she went up them. Do you see the broken chair? Look at the broken chair. And those are the stairs. Oh my. At the top, she found an even more curious and pretty room, and even though her mother had often told her not to be nosy about other people's private business, she forgot not to, and so she went in. And there she saw 3 curious beds. What do you think she's going to do? Let's see. And straight away, she climbed up into the great huge Papa Bear bed, and very like the great huge Papa Bear chair, Goldilocks found it too hard for her. So she tried the medium-sized Mama Bear bed, but like the Mama Bear chair, she found it too soft for her. And so, last, she tried the wee small baby bear bed, and yes, she found it neither too hard nor too soft, but just right. And so, very, very comfortable that, without really meaning to, she fell asleep. So that's Papa Bear's bed, and it was too hard. And that's Mama Bear's bed, and look how soft it was. And Baby Bear's bed, it's just right. Then, just then, the bear family returned from their walk. The great, huge Papa Bear went over to the kitchen table, and in his great, huge voice he said, "Someone's been eating my porridge!" Then the Mama Bear looked at her bowl, and in her medium-sized voice she said, "Someone's been eating my porridge." And then the Baby Bear looked at his bowl, and in his wee small voice he said, "Someone's been eating my porridge, and they ate it all up." Uh-oh. What's going to happen next? Then they went into the parlor. "Someone's been sitting in my chair," said the Papa Bear in his great, huge voice. "And someone's been sitting in my chair," said the Mama Bear in her medium-sized voice. "And someone's been sitting in my chair," cried the Baby Bear in his wee small voice, "and they broke it all up." Does Baby Bear look very happy? Looks like he's very upset that someone broke his chair. Cautiously, the bears went up the stairs. And what are they going to find up there? What is up there? The Papa Bear looked at his bed, and in his great huge voice he said, "Someone's been sleeping in my bed." "And someone's been sleeping in my bed," said the Mama Bear in her medium-sized voice. "And someone's been sleeping in my bed," cried Baby Bear, "and here she is!" Just then, Goldilocks woke up, and she looked up at the bears who were looking at her. And just as fast, she remembered that her mother had told her not to talk to strangers. And she didn't do it. No, indeed she didn't. Instead, she ran down the stairs, and she ran through the kitchen, and she ran out the door, and she ran, and she ran, and she ran all the way home. from all that I've heard, Goldilocks' scary experience there in the woods did wonders to improve her young memory. And while it's true that she still sometimes forgets to do small things like tying her shoe or wiping her mouth after eating bread and jam, Goldilocks never, ever forgot not to do what her mother told her not to do. Ever, ever again. I love that story, and there is a really cute recipe on the back for Mama Bear's porridge cookies. So I will be posting that in the classroom, okay?